Now time for some business stories here this afternoon. And the IMF will in the coming days be seeking some answers from government on the status of the country's program with the fund. This was after Parliament amended the laws to allow government borrow from the central bank up to 5% of previous year's revenue. George Rafi has more in this report.
Indication in a response to an email sent to the fund in Washington, D.C. by Joy Business. This was after Parliament rejected proposals by the fund to give the necessary legal backing to government's decision to agree to a zero financing from the Bank of Ghana under the country's program with the IMF. But the fund in an email maintains that its staff will soon assess and discuss with authorities the possible implications for Ghana's program after amendment of the Bank of Ghana Act allowing the central bank to finance government. The Washington-based lender in an email, however, maintained that there's been a significant progress by authorities in eliminating regular financing from the Bank of Ghana. This is evident from the beginning of this year, as government has not received any funding from the Bank of Ghana, but maintains that this is critical that it continues, as it's an important feature to support the credibility and effectiveness of the inflation targeting framework of the Bank of Ghana, which is critical to the success of the 3-year program. For some economists, it is interesting that Parliament rejected IMF's proposal of zero financing. This is because there was a provision in the Ghana's program with the fund that still gave government a window of opportunity to borrow from the central bank in times of emergency, up to 2% of the previous year's revenue, but payable in 90 days. However, government, on the other hand, has insisted that it has no intention of borrowing from the Bank of Ghana despite the amendment to the Bank of Ghana Act. But if we are indeed guided by events of the past, then many will be watching government closely in the coming weeks, especially from August ending to September, because of the fact that the serious budget overruns in 2012 started around this time.
Now, in other stories, seed traders have dismissed claims that genetically modified seeds have already flooded the local market. The controversy on the genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, has raged on for some time now, with Parliament considering the Plant Breeders Bill to legalize it. Advocates believe GMOs would address the productivity needs of farmers, whilst those against it describe them as health hazards and a threat to economic and flood sovereignty. There are suggestions GMO seeds are already being sold to local farmers, but the National Seed Traders Association of Ghana denies this, but demands or admits some imported product may contain them. Here's the National Coordinator, Thomas Wilfred Havel, explaining the particular issue.
There are no GMO seeds on the market. We need to make clear distinction between GMO products and GMO crops. The products that we see in the shops, they come from GM products that have been chemically tested and then approved by those countries before we see them on the market, like soya sauce, for example. But then we don't have GMO seeds being sold in Ghana as yet. Yes, we are ready for GMOs, but it does not just take off that way. There's a lot of work that has to be done in the country, and we need to relate with all the agencies that are involved, and even there must be trials.
So that will be it for business here on midday, but we have a lot more business for you between 1 and 1:30 on the marketplace. Today we'll be looking a bit something to do with the oil and gas industry. Exactly what is it that Parliament is saying to do with the new bill that they just passed. We'll be looking at some environmental issues and how monies are being churned out and also being expensed here in the country. All these are more on the marketplace. My name is John Kojo. Coming up next is your sports.